So today we're harvesting chamomile. And chamomile is a crop that a lot of people are familiar with because chances are you had a cup of chamomile tea at some point in your life, possibly even as a child. And it's a calming herb, so it's used for both calming digestion as well as calming the nervous system. And it has some constituents which are bitter, so it's a slight mild bitter. And the thing about chamomile that to think about from a farming perspective is we treat this plant as a biennial. So we plant this plant in the previous summer. It grows as almost a basil rosette. It grows very close to the ground with finely divided leaves coming from a central point, and it stays in this rounded mound all the way until the following early spring. And then it starts to reach up toward the sky with these beautiful daisy-like flowers. So chamomile is in the daisy family, which is also otherwise known as the sunflower family or the aster family. And these plants tend to open more fully in the sun. And so whereas we may harvest some herbs early to late morning, this is an herb that we actually have to wait until the sun comes out, or else the flowers may be fully reflexed or closed. So we are out here harvesting this for the first time this year. The plants look really beautiful. We did an experiment this past year in which we planted a cover crop, and then we did a no-till planting right into the cover crop. And it seems to have worked a little bit to help with establishing of the plants. Some of the plants are a little bit better looking than others, but overall the quality of this crop is excellent. And our plan is to harvest this first harvest primarily for those who have ordered fresh plant material. And what's left after all of our fresh orders and our medicine maker shares, we're going to dry the rest for the season. So with this plant, we're going to be using a blueberry rake. It's basically a modified blueberry rake in which the spaces between the tines are fairly small enough to fit perfectly with these plants. So we actually swoop down underneath the flowers and we kind of gather the flower stems with our other hand and just grab them all at once. Now if we get any stems in there, we pull them off. And you want to get low enough to where you're getting even these lower flowers, because the flowers that you don't harvest become seeds during the next harvest because you're allowing them to mature more fully. You want to try to get as many of the flowers as possible and leave behind an essentially green the green plant material after you're done your harvest, and then you have a cleaner harvest next time around. Harvest, if you don't have the fancy equipment that we have, is you can use your hands, and basically you create the tines with your fingers. So you can take your fingers, go just below the flower stems and tear them off that way. So you can just kind of scoop your hands under, try to break off some of those stems. I obviously don't have my bucket with me, so it's a little easier when you have a bucket or container to harvest right into. But you basically want to take your fingers and use them as tines and scoop under the flowers and pull them off. I mean, you could go individual flower by individual flower like this, but that would take an incredibly long amount of time to get a very small amount of flowers. So I would scoop with my fingertips.